Hello again. We're back to Second Samuel. This week we're going to be studying David and his mercy, along with a few little negative traits. Because, we all have them. But I'm nowhere near as merciful as David. That's one of my goals in life. Okay, so we're going to start in Second Samuel chapter 3. And the first part of the chapter we're really not going to spend much time on. But it's how David had won all these battles. And then everybody was happy with him. And so he became king. And then he didn't become a king of all of Israel, but he did become king. And then we have David having multiple wives and multiple children, which was wrong. It was totally wrong. It's wrong today. It was wrong back then. In Deuteronomy 17:17, the Lord said, "Neither shall he multiply wives." And this is talking about kings specifically. You don't multiply horses, and you don't multiply wives, lest his heart turn away, nor shall he greatly multiply silver and gold for himself. Okay, so this multiplying wives, that's where David, not all, but I would say that's where most of his problems with women started, because he didn't seem satisfied with one or two or six. And in all those 7 years at Hebron with 6 wives, he only had 6 sons, one from each wife. So it's kind of like, normally they would have had a whole lot more unless God intervened. But he did have 6 sons, and in Psalm 127:5, it says, "Happy is the man who has his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but shall speak with their enemies in the gate." And David is considered to have had his quiver full by then. A quiver, obviously, is to carry the bows, but it's not worn on the back, because that would, you would turn away from your enemy kind of to shoot. It was worn either on the belt or on the shoulder strap. And then we have Abner's quarrel with Ishbosheth. Okay, who is Ishbosheth? It's one of my favorite names. It was one of my passwords for years because, who's going to figure out Ishbosheth? And it seems that Abner decided, hey, let's make Ishbosheth king, knowing that Ishbosheth was one of the sons of Saul, but he was the weakest son of Saul. And Abner was the leader of Saul's army, and he was a strong person. So it's kind of like setting up somebody to have the title, and you take over and rule for them. So that's all at the beginning of Second Samuel, and now we're going to get to where our lesson really starts. Ishbosheth accused Abner of some horrible stuff. Abner got really mad, and Ishbosheth got even weaker and more scared. And then David, and this is in verses 6 through 12 of 2 Samuel 3. And David is brought into the picture between Abner and Ishbosheth because Abner decides, hey, I'm going to go and do what I should have done all along, because I know God has given the kingdom to David. And since you're accusing me of all this horrible stuff, I'm going over there. And David, being the womanizer, you can't come, Abner, unless you bring Michal, my first wife, Saul's daughter. God, did he really need another wife? Some commentaries said it was pride Some said it was because being married to the daughter of Saul gave him more right to the throne. God had given him the throne, so that to me didn't make a whole lot of sense. And some just thought, you know, he just wanted her back. Don't know why, because she wasn't that great to him. So then he sends a message to Ishbosheth, and Ishbosheth says, Abner, go get her, and brings her back. And it's just a mess because her husband now adored her. This was the marriage of love. David's was the marriage of lust and power, really. David with Michal. And so Abner now goes and talks to everybody, all the princes or the leaders in all the tribes of Israel that are not following David, to convince them to now follow David. You know, he set up Ishbosheth as king, and now he's making a 180-degree turn and saying, no, we need to follow David. And in Psalm 143, verses 3 and 4, we're told, do not put your trust in princes, nor in a son of man, in whom there is no help. His spirit departs, he returns to his earth. In that very day, his plans perish. And we're going to see that's going to happen. But, you know, it's like for us, it's very easy to, well, not as easy now as it used to be, but it's easy to make all these plans and to get people to help you complete your plans when we need to trust God. And then sometimes we get angry, and really Abner here is taking vengeance against Ishbosheth because of the claim, which was a lie. And in Psalm 94, 1 through 3, we're told, O God, O Lord God, to whom vengeance belongs, O God, to whom vengeance belongs, shine forth. Rise up, O judge of the earth. Render punishment to the proud. Lord, how long will the wicked triumph? And, you know, David was the psalter. He wrote so many of the Psalms. And it just came from his heart. And yet way back in Deuteronomy 32, verse 35, we're told, vengeance is mine and recompense. And this is the Lord talking. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Their foot shall slip in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things to come hasten upon them. So Abner, being two-faced or double-minded, wanted to follow Ishbosheth, and when things didn't go the way he planned, he decides, no, I'll go follow David. You know, the two-faced person, always going after whoever is best. So Abner went and he had his meeting with David. David gave him food, said, sure, and all the people that came with him, sure, we'll have a covenant now, and, you know, go do your stuff, and then bring everybody back, and we'll be fine. But Abner was not very much loved by Joab, because Abner had killed Joab's brother. Now, it was when Ishbosheth's army and David's army went to battle, and instead of fighting, Joab and Abner said, let's just send 19 or 12 or, you know, less than 20 guys from each army, and we'll see who wins. Well, David's guys won. And so Abner took off running, and Abishai, who was Joab's brother, went running after him with no sword, no shield, no armor. And he caught up with him, and Abner said, hey, get some armor, get a shield, get something. But he just kept running after him. So finally, Abner turned around and slew or killed Abishai. And so Joab was never satisfied with the fact that he thought Abner got away with it. In Genesis 9:6, we're told, whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God, he made man. Well, so Joab was trying to, fulfill that. The problem is, David was in Hebron. Hebron was a sanctuary city. And it was during battle, it was during a war. So, Abner was pretty much absolved from being wrong because it was part of the war. And in Numbers 35:25, we're told that if the man who killed your relative is in a sanctuary city, then you can't touch him. If he leaves and you're outside of the city, then that's okay. So what did Joab do? He sends for Abner to return. And before Abner comes into the city, Joab pulls him aside at the city gate, just outside of the city, and he kills him. David didn't know anything about it until after the fact, and David was heartbroken because he had met with Abner. Abner was with him now. There was no reason for Abner to die in David's eyes. So he had great concern, and this is in still chapter 3, verses 28 through 39. David was so upset. And in verse 31, this part was like, okay, Joab, you did evil. I can't undo it. I really can't do anything to you because you're the leader, one of the leaders of my army. But, verse 31, then David said to Joab and all the people who were with him, tear your clothes, gird yourself with sackcloth, and mourn for Abner. So it's a command from the king. You will now mourn for the guy you just killed. And later on, David said, do you not know that a prince and a great man has fallen this day in Israel? Along the lines, David curses Joab and his family, that they're all going to have horrible sickness and just really bad stuff. And then later on, after Solomon is made king, David says, and don't forget Joab, deal with him. So David wasn't going to deal with him more than, okay, you have to mourn the guy who just died, who you just killed. But he reminds Solomon to take care of him. So now we're in 2 Samuel chapter 4. We have 4 chapters, so I'm just giving highlights. Okay. And Ishbosheth is fearful, and he should be, because 2 of his captains, who were also of the tribe of Benjamin. Remember, Saul was of the tribe of Benjamin? So Ishbosheth is from the tribe of Benjamin. And 2 of his captains, Baanah and Rechab, I don't know exactly how to say their names, but those are the guys. They sneak in. Actually, they just walk in, because they're important guys in Ishbosheth's little world. So they just walk into the house at noon. Ishbosheth is taking a nap with no guards. So he wasn't really thinking ahead, or he just wanted to die. I don't know. And so they sneak in and they kill Ishbosheth, cut off his head. One of the first times we saw somebody cutting off somebody's head, David and Goliath. And he carried it around for a while. And then we have Saul and Jonathan, and the guys coming and telling him, hey, David, I fought your battle. I killed your enemy. Didn't go so well. And here we have it happening again. In verse 9, David says, Those two guys have brought Ishbosheth's head. As the Lord lives, who has redeemed my life from adversity. David never thought of Saul as his enemy. David thought of Saul and Saul's family with really high regard. I mean, Saul was the Lord's anointed. Even though David was also the Lord's anointed, David knew his time was going to come, but it was going to come in God's time, not in man's time. What they did was just the same as the Amalekite, when the Amalekite came. And they got the same reward that the Amalekite got. They were put to death. But there was a little added. Their hands and their feet were cut off. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't really know why that happened, but their hands and feet were cut off. And then in verse 11, David says, wicked men have killed a righteous person in his own house, on his own bed. So David was very distraught about this. And then we're going to move on to 2 Samuel chapter 9. And here we find out that David, the wars have kind of settled down. He's now king over all of Israel. All the tribes are under him. And he remembers, Jonathan and I had a covenant. And I said that I would bless the family of Saul for Jonathan's sake. So, is there anybody left from Saul's family? And they ended up, Mephibosheth by this time was hiding, and he was fearful. And they found Ziba, who was one of Saul's servants. And Ziba knew of Mephibosheth and where he was living. So David sent people to get Mephibosheth. And in 2 Samuel 4:4, Jonathan, Saul's son, I have trouble with S's, had a son who was lame in his feet. He was 5 years old when the news about Saul and Jonathan came from Jezreel. Big deal, So my dad and my grandfather are killed. Why is my nurse being so weird about this? His nurse took him up and fled. She's got him and she's running. And somehow he fell. His feet and lower ankles were messed up, and he never got any treatment because they went into hiding, and so he was lame. He was not lame from birth. It was that in those times, and if you watched Black Panther, they talked about it here too, that when one king took over, everybody from the previous king's family was put to death. So there would be no usurpers and nobody coming and saying, hey, I'm from Saul's family, I should be king. Well, David wasn't like that because David loved Jonathan and respected Saul, even though Saul was not really good. So Mephibosheth comes. Now just think about it. David had the right in that time to kill Mephibosheth and everybody else. Mephibosheth is now the only heir. So he comes in and he's scared. He lays down, prostrate on the floor, and says, here I am. Kind of like, do what you're going to do. I'm here. I know it's over. But verse 7, David is so merciful. Do not fear. But he doesn't stop. I mean, how many times do people say, there's nothing to be afraid of? And that's it. They don't give you any reason. But David says, do not fear. I will surely show you kindness for Jonathan, your father's sake. And I will restore to you all the land of Saul, your grandfather. And you shall eat bread at my table continually. So it's like, come on in. You're going to be one of my sons. you're going to be with me. Now, Mephibosheth being lame, couldn't work the field. All the land that King Saul had. So in verse 10, Ziba was told, the guy that remembered Mephibosheth, was told, okay, I've given this land to Mephibosheth. You and your sons and your servants are going to go work the land for him, and you're going to provide whatever Mephibosheth's son needs. So that's where it says, we find out that there is another relative of Saul. And now we skip to 2 Samuel chapter 19. And here in 2 Samuel 19, it starts out where David is mourning for Absalom. Absalom was his favorite son. Remember, they said he was very beautiful or handsome nowadays. Remember last week when we learned about his hair and how beautiful his hair was and how heavy it was, and he was so proud of his hair, and his hair got caught in the terebinth tree. And so they were able to go and kill him. Well, David's been mourning. And all the soldiers are sneaking around like, yeah, we did it. We won the war. Instead of, we're victorious. They're sneaking around. So Joab comes in and says, David, get up and get over it. He was a usurper. He tried to steal your throne. He did all kinds of evil things. So move on, because your servants, your soldiers, are fearful of what's going to happen to them because you are so sad. My translation. Okay, but that's basically what he did. He rebuked him and said, come on, let's go. So David returns to his kingdom after being banished by his son. And in verses 18 through 23, we find that King David is also, again, very merciful. This time he's merciful to Shimei. And if we remember from 2 Samuel 16, 1 through 8, as David and the people were leaving, Shimei was up on a cliff yelling curses down at David, throwing rocks at him, and David's soldiers wanted to kill Shimei back then. And David said, no, it could be God is using him to deal with me for something in my heart. God uses everything. And then in verse 20 of chapter 19, David's coming back. I think I got out of order. But anyway, David's coming back. No, it's okay. So David's coming back. And who's the first person to greet him? Shimei. But this time, Shimei yells out, I, your servant, know that I have sinned. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Two-sided again. And Abishai, one of the soldiers, said, hey, let me go kill him. You wouldn't let me kill him last time, but let me kill him now, because he cursed you. But David said, first he told Abishai, I'll leave him alone. And then he said to Shimei, you shall not die. And the king swore to Shimei that he would not die. David was returning victorious. He was going to be king over the entire Israel population. And he didn't see any reason to tarnish that day by killing somebody. And one of the curses Shimei had cursed at him was, or one of the things he had said was, you're a bloodthirsty guy. So here, not only is David proving that he's not a bloodthirsty guy, because he's giving him that beautiful, he let him off He said, don't worry about it. We all do dumb things. I'm sure I would have said, but if you ever do it again. But we never see David saying, but if, David is one of my heroes, even though he was bad at times. And then we find Mephibosheth. Well, during the time that David was in exile, Mephibosheth stayed in Jerusalem. Well, the reason he stayed in Jerusalem is because his servant Ziba didn't get him a mule and get him on the mule so he could go with David. So even though Mephibosheth stayed in Jerusalem during the time of banishment, verse 24 tells us that he had not cared for his feet, trimmed his mustache. It's like, those are like, okay, well, nor washed his clothes from the day the king departed until he returned in peace. So not only did he look all scraggly, he probably smelled pretty bad too. So when he got close, I'm sure David could smell it besides seeing the state of him. But in verse 25, David says, why did you not go with me, Mephibosheth? And of course, Mephibosheth, Ziba deceived me, and Ziba slandered me. He told you all kinds of evil things about me. But David accepted that and said, I've given Ziba half the land, half of it's yours. And Mephibosheth said, I'm going to be at your table. What do I need with the land? Just give him all of it. So Mephibosheth also showed mercy there. And here with Mephibosheth, it's just such a wonderful, David brought him in and blessed him. And then David forgave him and blessed him. And we end with Barzillai's kindness, and thankfully, David said, hey, because of your kindness, I want to repay you. And we read about Barzillai's kindness in 2 Samuel chapter 15. In 1 through 12, we have Absalom's treason, and then in 13 through 37, that's when David was running. And 2 Samuel 17, 27 through 29, three guys, one of them being Barzillai, brought beds and basins, earthen vessels, and wheat, barley, and flour, parched grain, and beans, lentils, and parched seeds. They also brought honey, curds, sheep, and cheese to provide for David and all the people that were with him. Now we know that Barzillai was a rich man. He was also an old man. We read later on in verses 31 and 32 of 2 Samuel 19 that when David was going back to Jerusalem, Barzillai came and was escorting him across the Jordan. And then David wanted to bless Barzillai for his kindness. And in verse 33, David says, I will provide for you while you are with me in Jerusalem. It's another one of those, come on, come with me, and you'll sit at my table and you'll eat my food, and I'll give you a place to stay and all that. But Barzillai in verse 37 says, guy, I'm an old man. I'm going to die soon. Let me go home so that I can be buried where my father and mother are. But you can take my son Chimham as your servant. And Chimham, then David says in verse 38, Chimham shall cross over with me, and I will do for him what seems good to you. Now, whatever you request of me, I will do for you. So Barzillai knew, I'm an old man, I'm going to die soon, so bless my son instead of me. And we know that David gave him land in Bethlehem because later on in Jeremiah 41, 16 and 17, 16 just builds up that there were people in a little battle and they were running, trying to find a place that they could stay and be safe. And verse 17 says, and they departed and dwelt in the habitation of Chimham, which is near Bethlehem. So the king then kissed and blessed Barzillai. Barzillai went home, and David and his entourage, all of his people, went back to Jerusalem. And David assumed kingship over Israel. Yeah, that's it. Yay. Father, thank you for this time. Thank you for your word, Lord. How it is healing for our hearts and our souls. And it also changes our countenance. Your word just heals us completely. We thank you for the life of David, the good and the bad, because if there wasn't anything bad that he did, we would probably put him on a pedestal. I mean, they already made a statue of him. So we thank you that we can learn about all the heroes of our faith, and we read and learn all about them, so that we see why you choose to use us. We're no worse or better than our heroes in the faith are. You choose who you will to serve you and to lead others. We thank you again. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.